And come on, let's go. Now everybody can see the desktop now?
Yes,
And there are the minutes right there.
gotcha. All right, so they're approved.
No, this is, the minutes are approved. This is the agenda for today.
Yes, all right. The next thing will be the treasurer's report. Can you get that up, or we got to go back to the?
No, I can get it up right here.
All right. I do see one large payable, and that's the payables to the teams for, for the reimbursement of the fees for the
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah, I'm gonna get those all together.
Got an estimate of that? Anybody get any idea?
I think we only got 3 of them in so far, but
Well, yeah, but I mean, we should make sure we got enough for all of them. I know we
hold
do.
on. I gotta log into here first, dagnabbit. Just when I thought I had this all together.
I just had a hell of a thing. I had to redo my password for Gmail. It's crazy.
Okay. Which one did you run the last time? Did you run the profit and loss or the balance sheet, Sherry?
You actually do the budget versus actuals.
Okay, got it.
That's, to me, the best.
Yep.
It's the most relevant.
All right.
You probably want to do it to date, I would imagine, through
Oh.
today,
Through,
4/23.
Yeah.
let's do this.
I mean, 4/30 is probably fine. There's not going to be anything out there anyway, but
Well, it might not work that way.
Well, no, that's fine.
yeah, it should. It
Oh,
should
okay, all right.
run. But then you have to filter it,
Okay,
customize up at the top there.
yeah,
Right, and then you can just take out the reporting, let's see. I think you click on the tab that says filter below rows, a little further down, keep going down. Yep. I
Come
can't
on.
see it all.
There's a run report at the bottom.
Yeah, I know, but I think you want to take out, like, you want just totals. I'm sorry, click rows and columns. The one up above it. It's one of those. Yeah, that one.
Counts
this
versus
one right here.
Yep. Accounts versus total. Instead of months. Then you don't have to look at so much.
Yeah. Good.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then run.
Where the
Write
hell?
this down.
That's at the bottom. The green
Run
button.
reports at the bottom
I
right.
can't see it because I've got the green thing.
Go
Yep.
ahead, click.
Try that.
Yeah, okay, because I've got everybody's.
Yep. Okay, there.
Okay.
That's good.
All
Now
right. Scroll
done.
up. All right, stop right there. All right. Our fiscal ends in June, correct?
6:30.
yes.
So I got 2 months. All right. Those service charges, I know I've asked this before, but that's because we are using cards to pay things, correct?
Yeah,
No
Yeah.
way around. All right.
right.
All right, keep moving. Can you scroll down a
Yeah,
little
sure.
further?
Yep.
Has everybody seen that? We haven't sent the Joan Judds out either, but that'll be probably next fiscal year, actually. All right, well, we know we're over there. We know that. I don't know why the budget comes up 500 for Joan Judd. It should be 5,000 though.
Well, no, that's actual.
That's
okay.
actual.
That's last year we paid them then.
Well,
Legal issues, so that's a 250. Is that what you think you paid him? Just check that when you get a chance. That's all right. Don't worry about it. It's.
yeah,
I just got to get back to him. I want to get
Right.
I just want to end up with a written report, and I don't want to pay anything for it.
sure.
All right. Referees. Travel, well, we should be under. All right, so we're still under budget at this point. And one of these days, Greg, I told you I'd get over and see that. I should get it to Brian too, so I can go in directly to the. I had it at one time.
Yeah.
To get the statement. I saw the bank
Right,
statement.
well, okay, you done with this? I'll give you a quick look at that right now.
Oh, can you?
I'll give you a quick look at that. Hold on.
Well, that's terrific. All right, so everybody's seen that. We're still under budget, which is good, and we probably will be.
You know what?
I think you can just pick it up right when you sign into QuickBooks, can't you, Greg?
I actually have a,
Oh, you have a statement?
yeah, I have a link here, something.
Yeah, Sherry, the only reason I'm doing that is because the statements probably are a good check. Now, I used to be able to go in, and somehow I lost the password. So if I can go in and
What happens, Paul, is every time if I go in and if Sherry goes in, it resets the password for each of us.
Yeah, I just stay out of it completely now.
Yeah.
Because it's not, it's hooked up to a native
All right.
computer.
Well, that's all right.
You know what I mean? Okay. What the heck happened to my wonderful? All right, let's put you guys. What?
Well, if you don't, just do the same thing you did and send it to all of us.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Send it to everybody.
I will do that. I'm trying to figure out what happened to my. Oh, here it is. Okay. I could have sworn I had. I guess I don't. Okay, never mind. I thought I had the. Which
The budget's a big thing, and I think that's to me, well, that's good. We got to.
Yeah.
This
I
news.
thought I had the Bank of America on here,
Yeah.
but
Oh my goodness.
I don't want to. I'm already there. All right, I'll get it. I'll figure it out and I'll get it to you, Paul.
All right. We'll just send it to everybody. It's not me.
Yeah, no.
So
You want everybody
Well,
here,
that's
everybody
that's
else?
a check. I mean, the budget is most important, the first thing we looked at.
Yeah. Okay. You want everybody here or everybody on the board to have that?
Everybody on the board.
Okay. Gotcha.
We have the other stuff posted. We have the budget posted
Right.
online. So
Okay.
I mean, that's as, transparent as we can get. I don't want to give everyone in the world our number, the bank.
Right. Gotcha.
All right. So that's the treasurer's report. Alan's not here. Mike and
Yeah, nothing from the juniors.
all right.
Over.
All right. President's report, really nothing. We've gone through the legal maneuvering as far as what we can, what's possible and not possible, at least right now. That's good. When we go to this AGM, we should try and get as many people as we can, and everybody knows this, I'm sure, to either come, vote, or get us their votes. I noticed the guys out in Brevard were very successful in doing that. Took a ton of work, but it was, that's a way we can have some say-so over some of the stuff that nobody ever voted on, or that we don't remember anybody voting on, and we can go back over it, I know we're signing up for the AGM. Are you doing that, Greg? Are you?
Yeah. I'll do it like I did last year. It was
I think just about everybody. I didn't see anything from Alan. Was he the only one that you didn't get back from?
Brian.
Oh, Brian. No, I thought I saw something from Brian. No.
Yeah, Brian said he doesn't know yet because he might be taking his daughter to college that weekend.
All right, no problem. It's not necessary. I know Sherry had asked too. It's not necessary for everyone to be there, but I noticed last year we had a lot of people there, and we were able to get some extra meetings in. I wonder if we can get a meeting. You think that's probably not possible? We'd have to get to the hotel and go through all of that.
Well, you can call a meeting. It just might not be in a
Well,
room
we have to have
anywhere.
a spot, Mike. That's all. Just somewhere in there.
You mean a meeting for just us as board members, or a meeting
Yeah,
for anybody?
USA, all the
The
guys.
USA
I mean,
meeting.
While we're there.
We'll call up the FYSA person in charge and see if there'll be an available room available.
Yeah. Say for USA, it'll be in Jacksonville.
We'll see more people at that meeting than we've ever seen at a league meeting.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't have them anymore either physically, so we're not gonna. But that's something we might want to do. What do you guys think? Is that something we would try to do? It's
I like the idea.
I like it.
pretty packed, but we're all there and we can hack out any of the other thing, the under 9, as far as the keeping records or keeping score and some of the other ideas and hack them out. We obviously aren't going to get them into the bylaws at this point, at least a lot of them. All right, so nothing VP, my report. I really don't have anything special to report. The AGM's coming up. Has anybody missed any bylaws that they want added to the USA? Just so you know, I'm not going to do it here because it's not all business. Greg and I, we've been talking about the two things. I sent an email out. And I don't know, maybe we'll take this up in executive committee. Let's not even bother right now.
Yeah.
Joan Judd applications. Greg, where are we?
I sent everything out to everybody.
Okay.
I sent a spreadsheet out to all the board members, and I kind of ranked them as best as I saw fit. And then I'm hoping that you guys would chime in with your, if you want 5, if you want 6, you want 10. You.
Well, Mike, did you take a look at them? I thought Greg's suggestion, I think it was Greg's anyway, that the top 5 are really are USA members and, had done something in the soccer realm with their clubs, et cetera,
Yeah, I think loyalty to the USA League, how many years they spent with, in the league, what they've done as soccer for the game. And I think 5 players, I don't want to dilute the value of the, I don't think we should dilute it. I think we should make it valuable to anybody that wants to.
Well, we talked about next year trying to rejigger it in some form and rename it probably and get 2 or 3 and more money per kid, same budget. But that's something we'll take up. I mean, we're halfway there now, I think. We've got it under control, at least at this point.
Have to drill now.
Greg, were you able to find the, there is in there, I talked to Elda again today, and she said it is easy. You go to club and something else and then hit a click, and you can get the entire kid's history of where they played and the leagues and everything else.
Now I'm supposed to get a call back tomorrow from Got Soccer.
Email Elda. She told me today, she said it's 3 clicks.
The other thing I want them to get back to me on is a way where well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later when we talk about it, about the referees and the assigners.
Joan Judd, we're done. We're gonna decide on 5 players and then go with that.
I have a question though on that, Paul. How are you just mailing checks, or last year you did a presentation? Because we would probably have to plan that.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know if the Rowdies, we're probably not going to do that with the Rowdies this year. That's for sure.
I think we could have a presentation, even if it's just a dinner for those that we host for them. I mean, I think we just got to have a presentation.
We haven't had a dinner in the last couple of years. That's the point. I don't know if
Well, we
Because
might.
it might not get them coming. It'll be us eating again. Not that it matters, but it's something.
I think for $1,000, they better be coming. Otherwise, they don't get $1,000.
Well, they're not getting 1,000. They're getting 500.
Even if we go with 5?
Yeah, I don't think we change the. For me,
Okay.
like, if you're going to change the amount, that might be, more kids might have applied and said, geez, if I knew it was 1,000, I would have applied. I think for this year, we just keep it at the 5. We don't specify how many we have to do. We do 5, so we spend 2,500. Okay. It's below budget, but that's all right. I wouldn't change it because we didn't advertise that. We advertised $500. And if I'm a kid out there, I say, geez, if I knew it was 1,000, I might have done something. That's my thing. At this point, from what we tell them we're going to do, we just stay right with it.
All right.
It's not punitive.
Well, we can't change what we've advertised.
Yeah,
I mean, we have to,
and that's okay. I mean, that's all
But
okay.
but I think we should revisit it. And I know we say that every year, but we should probably revisit it and see if there's
We'll get
a little
it.
more value to it.
We can change that easily. Just the board can change that. And
Right. So, I mean, I think we really need to talk about that and say,
Yeah.
because I know, Mike, I know you like to put a little more value into it. And I would agree that if it's 1,000, with the rising costs, $500 gets them a couple of books, really, so, and it's not, I'm not saying that that's not worth it, but,
two in each group or something like that.
something like that. Yeah, something like that. I think we do need to increase the amount per person and have a few less people.
But it's just a matter, I think, of all we have to do is when we announce it next year is to have it written. It's not a bylaw.
But, right. We have to decide that a lot earlier and then announce it that way, right?
Yeah. Or I think Mike or somebody had made the comment that we have 5 winners, 3 runners up of 500 each, and the other 2, the top 2 get $2,000 each.
Yeah, that sounds. I like that idea. That's a good.
Just wait. I mean, it costs an extra $500, but that $2,000 is going to.
Good. I mean, it's going to kids. It's going to kids going to college. It's not like it's we're throwing it out the window.
Hey, Paul. Just before Johnny Burns, who are you representing? Melissa Howard. Which club are you representing?
West Flames.
Flames. And does anybody know who Johnny Burns is? No? Okay. He doesn't tell us who he
Someone say
is.
Flames because the name is Burns.
Don't know. I got Mike here, though. I got you, Mike. Okay. Well, if he doesn't pipe in, I can't mark him down as here.
All right, we got 2.
Florida Celtic. Johnny Burns, Florida Celtic.
All right,
No.
Okay.
Gotcha. Good.
Thank you.
How you doing, Johnny? All right. The red card review, old business, Premier Division winners. We're going to reimburse them. That's the largest payable I think we got, and I don't think that'll be more than 5,000 or 6,000 the way it looks. If everybody does it, we've got 10? We have 10 age groups.
10 age groups, and that's 8,500.
Yeah, I would like to have us take photos of us presenting the checks to them and make a big deal on the website. I mean, I think we should take some pride in what we are doing on this and really market what we are doing. This shouldn't be a surprise.
Sounds great. You can be the half camera will travel.
Yeah, you got a little bit of work doing that. Not that it's the end of the world, but it's a little more work, as those guys Well, if it's the clubs that are close in, it's fine. If it's not, you gotta figure it out somehow. Or maybe we'll miss 1 or 2. I like that idea. I think it's great. The more we got on there, the better. All right, rule change proposals by midnight, 5/1. We know the senior applications, change the coaches' meetings are set. All right. How about for the good of the game, the Liverpool? Mike, you're doing something in England also, correct?
Yeah, the club is taking a group to England.
Do you know the guy? I mean, is it someone you?
Yeah, it's the guy that helped us with the Brookhouse
Very good.
scholarship.
Yeah, wonderful. And,
Yeah.
and Greg, you still got this Liverpool?
Yeah, my contact has fallen ill. So what I've done is I've put together an alternative tour with Sheffield Wednesday, Stoke, and Wolverhampton. And the fee is without airfare is about $1,700. Without airfare.
When are you gonna decide who to take?
Well, first I got to get I have the flyer here. I've got to put up. We got to put up on the website, and we got to just start.
What's the cutoff date for getting airline tickets?
Probably I would say around June.
Okay.
Well, I will tell you right now, for $2,500, I got the USA. Anybody in USA can join us for $2,500 all in, airfare, 10 days in the hotel, food, transportation, 10 days with Nottingham Forest Academy, games against Nottingham Forest Academy and other academy.
Is there a specific age group?
We are doing the 2000s and 2001s is one group, and then 2002s, 2003s is another.
Boys and girls?
Just boys.
All right. We'll have to figure, maybe in the next 2 weeks, we've got to decide then, Greg, how we're going to do
Right.
it. If it's easier and Mike can still absorb it, that's good. If the Liverpool thing is.
Yeah,
That's
and,
what I figured.
and we've got 40 seats booked on British Airways from Tampa to Gatwick and back direct.
And you're getting picked up at the airport.
Yep.
Okay.
Picked up and delivered to the airport.
I guess my question is, who put this all together? Because I've been talking about this for the last 3 league meetings, and nobody said anything to me.
No, I told you that we were going.
No, I have seen nothing in writing.
It wasn't a league deal. I'm just throwing it out. That was a Rangers deal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, what we ought to do is we ought to kind of try to work together here. There's no sense in me spinning my wheels
If the
when I got
club's
other
going,
stuff to
I
do.
know Mark's doing something also, is he not?
Well, Mark was going in with me to get this,
Well, let's
advertised.
sort it out. If you guys still want to do that, doesn't matter. But
Well, I'll talk with Mark. I'll talk with Mark later when he gets back.
Well, we got backup. We just need a date certain to throw it in, Mike. How late do you think you can? Do you think you would exceed 40 in any way, shape, or form?
No, we won't.
All right. Well, let's sort that out.
And my trip is late July, early August. So.
Yeah, same thing. It's 27th of July to the August till August 6th.
All right.
That's what we were looking at.
But the Liverpool guy is ill, is not.
Yeah, he's taken ill and hasn't been able to follow through on anything. And
All right.
I talked with his wife the other day, and
All right.
I'm hopefully I'll hear some good news in the next day or two.
Well, let's not let that go too far. If we can throw it over to somebody else, we get it up on a website.
Yeah.
Mark, too, we need to tell them also.
Right. No, I already talked to Mark.
That's what I'm saying. You guys, if you're all going to throw in, if that works and you got a backup, then we just got to decide that and put it on the USA
Right.
website. And Mike, we can do that, Mike. No problem.
Yeah.
All right, good. Very good. All right. Anything else that we need? I think we've been discussing in emails all of the stuff the tryouts have been insane as far as the timing and everything else. I don't know if they're ever going to revisit that. The under eights, is that not this year?
It's this coming year.
So we're going to try to formulate an under 8 league as a developmental league.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Are we going to? Who's going to get the refs?
Well, the thought is that the coaches are going to be on the pitch
Okay.
with the players.
So we'll schedule it. That's basically our involvement. We'll organize.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. The thought is that the coaches will run in between the build-out lines,
Yeah.
not further than the build-out line, and they call.
Yeah, cool. Look, we can hammer out all the details of the play. That's simple. It's a matter of just.
Well, I think if there wants to be a ref on the field, I mean, but then that will have to be left up to the club.
I just wondered about our obligation on that.
I mean,
I don't think we have any obligation on that.
Yeah, well,
you know,
that's what I'm asking.
What I'll do, hey, Paul, I'll bring that up to the assigners and see if they have any, if any of the club assigners want to train some of their referees, they can put them out there.
Well, I think that would be a good option to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if they want to do that. Yeah. I think, you know, because we even at the recreational level in our U8 have a referee out there.
Right.
You know, I mean, so it's 4v4, no goalies, but you know, we do have one referee, usually a younger referee, not always, but I think there should be a referee there. I think the coaches still want to be, coaches can be on the field, but I mean, I think there should be someone else reffing it personally. I think, you know, because I want them to more, you would think the coaches want them to worry more about, you know, trying to maybe spread out a little bit, you know, blah, 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 instead of reffing a game, you know, in that regard. But I would say that would be left up to the club. Yeah, not us. We wouldn't assign them. Yeah.
With the shortage of referees, I mean, you know, Romina, it's
if they don't have them, then they don't use them. But I mean, you know, but you know, we don't have to make it a mandate. But
we've got some executive committee with the referees. Maybe we can roll that in.
Kai, what's U.S. Soccer's? What is that? 4 times 15?
I can't think of the.
Do you recall?
The time we're playing right now with U8.
Or is it 4 times
So
12?
you had someone in that.
I think it's 12.
It's 4 12s.
4 by 12.
12. That's what I thought. 4 12s. Okay.
It's 4 12s because when spring we're doing 4 10s and regular season it's 4 12s.
Okay.
And will the U8s be 4v4 or 7v7 preparing
4v4? They have to be 4v4.
Unless you register.
Unless you call it a U9
developmental.
Yeah,
development academy.
If we call it a U9 development academy, but okay, the notion is behind the scenes work is that it's U8.
Right.
And yes, we can do 7v7.
Yeah,
But
I think it should be 7v7. You get more.
That's fine.
Participate.
That's fine. But then we have to make it perfectly clear that this is not, no U9s can be on this team.
Absolutely no 8-year-olds.
Correct.
Okay.
It has to be 6 and 7. It has to be 6 and 7.
We'll have to come up with
Absolutely no
a year
8-year-old.
date with a year date when we get to the clubs to say
Right.
no 2011s or whatever they are.
Right. Whatever the age group, whatever the age year is. Yeah. Right.
All right.
And I think that would be fine. I think the clubs would be fine with that. I don't think they would.
I think you
try
just
to
let the core
circumvent
clubs probably participate, and that's good. We just got to get.
Well, I know a lot of the clubs, even West Pasco, had urged for that because we have such a huge academy.
Yeah.
You know, so
Mike's got one, and Greg's. Doesn't your grandson played in Kai?
It's Kai's place, yeah.
yeah. No, I think that's a good idea. I think that's been a long time coming for us to do U8s.
Yeah.
So our obligation, as far as we can see, is we will organize it and schedule it.
Correct.
Yeah, but if it's going to be 7v7, I think we have to have a referee. I mean, referee shortage or not, I mean, that's a lot of.
Right.
That's,
Well,
you know, yeah. I was thinking no referee on a 4v4 situation, but if it's 7v7, they're going to have, I mean, they can still be on the field if you want, but you got to have a referee. I mean, you know.
But that's going to be it's going to be a club deal for the refs, like.
Right. It still would be a club deal.
Okay. So we have no obligation there.
No, we won't assign them, but we do need to highly encourage that there's referees.
I think while we got this couple of months here, we draw something out and put it on an email to everybody so they know.
Right.
Maybe before the next meeting, before the AGM.
Well, we need to announce that at the AGM at the very least.
All right. Yeah. All right. Pardon me. All right, that's all I've got. I mean, I know that doesn't sound like much, but it's, we're rolling along here and, getting set up for next year, actually. The executive committee, I think we got a little more on referees. I will dig in a little bit on that and
I think your dogs want coffee, Paul.
that's me barking for it. All
No,
right.
that's my dog barking.
All right, let's adjourn the regular meeting then. Mike, you want to make a motion to adjourn, please?
A motion to adjourn the meeting?
Someone second it?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, let's go to the executive committee. Why wait?
Why wait?
You got I mean, let's just keep moving. We've got, do you have minutes?
Right in front of you. Well, I got, okay.
Well, approval of minutes is A.
Hold on. I gotta knock these down and get the other ones. Hold on.
We're missing Merritt. That's the one guy tonight.
Right.
Stuff would be good.
Here you go.
All right.
Yeah, right now. I'm supposed to drink.
Suggestion matches do not kick off until Field Marshal presents himself to referee prior to start a game. I think that's already in there. In other words, all we're going to do is ask the referees to enforce it. By our bylaws, you are to have a field marshal.
Okay, we can talk about that in a minute when I give you the report.
All right. Well, anybody?
We don't have it. Yeah, but we don't have it in there that the game can't start until.
Well, but that's something that's what I said. It's something the assigners wanted, and everybody okay with these minutes from last month?
Yeah. Someone please make a motion to approve them.
Motion to approve the motion.
Second.
Awesome.
Second.
Awesome.
All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, let's go with where's get the agenda? I think I've got it.
1754.
Protest and appeals, none? Correct?
Doesn't appear as such.
No hearings?
1754. Which game was that?
I know about this one. So this was between, give me 1 second, Tampa Dynamo and
Rangers.
I want to say Rangers, right?
FC Tampa, yeah.
Or no, actually, no, I'm sorry. Charlotte Premier. And what happened with this is the game was scheduled and both teams were playing in State Cup, and so amongst themselves they canceled the game, but they didn't notify USA.
Right.
And then it was rescheduled, and I can't recall, I think we couldn't get a ref, and so we didn't make the change on the website. So then for the second time, they called the other team, they called Dynamo and said don't come, but we had already scheduled a ref. So I guess the question is, are we fining them, and if so, how much? Because I believe in both cases refs showed up.
Certainly we need to charge them for the refs, right?
Well,
Right.
and for
Well,
trying to do
the
stuff.
refs at least, right?
Well, they're trying to schedule stuff outside of the league.
Right.
What prevented them from playing
Well,
when they were originally scheduled?
They had State Cup, both teams. So they, amongst themselves, they canceled, but they just never told us about it.
Hey, Mike,
Okay.
do you not have a schedule also that ran over the end of the year, Mike?
Yeah, FC Tampa Rangers, yeah.
So let me ask you something. What did you do about it? What ended up happening?
Well, I think that's the game hasn't been played.
Okay.
I don't know if we have to fine them because it's not the first round of State Cup, right? Was it first round of state cup?
I don't know if I know that. Hold on one second.
Because if it's first round of state cup, then that's a problem for me, because if you're going to be entering state cup, when the first round of state cup is. You don't necessarily know if you're going to advance out of first round, and then I can understand that.
Sherry, what age group?
2,000 boys.
2,000 boys.
Mike, how about your age group? It's older kids, right?
Yeah, well, that's U17.
Okay, so I mean, same. I
This
mean,
this
try
was
this out for size. Don't we let ourselves into these problems by having them push the schedule off, and then it gets to be the end of the season and everybody's now jammed up. Now, we don't have a lot of that. That's what Greg and I had a long discussion one day about it. And how many of these matches do we have? I mean, how many are unplayed? Greg, I think you had a statistic there, and we missed a bunch of March games. But in total, is it a problem that we've got where we want to change the format that we do? In other words, the problem really is that the essential problem is we allow them to reschedule.
Yep.
They don't do a good job of it. Then we are left with a time frame that doesn't work for everybody because
When does state cup officially start? What's the first round? What's the date? I don't have it on here.
I have no
Is it
idea, but everybody does have it printed.
I think at this stage of the game, I don't know how this helps now, but we need to make sure that we maybe move up our deadline for games being scheduled before state cup. Like we say, all games have to be scheduled by the end of February 1st instead of March 30th. I mean, February 28th instead of.
We get a lot of games played in March, though, Steve. A lot of teams can play. Most of our teams, in fact, are not state cup teams, especially the older age groups, and that shouldn't be a problem. Now, that may be the President's Cup or the Commissioner's Cup, but all of those things you got to factor into your schedule. The point is with this is, if we're going to continue to allow people to reschedule, which
Then
we're doing,
can we move it later? I mean, why is it March 31st? Can it be April 15th?
why is it
Or-
March 30th? Yeah, but they'd be the same problem. We had still have some after April.
Usually when the season's over and the state cup's over, you never find those kids again in the older age groups.
That doesn't mean you don't allow them to later play. Is there?
That's what I'm saying. We could still give them until
March
April 15th,
31st,
2 more weeks. If they get knocked out of state cup, they finish up a couple of in-season games and they're done. I mean, I'm not saying wait till
Well,
May or
look,
June.
Mike,
you
your
know.
two teams want to play, correct? They wanted to play.
No, they didn't want to play. No.
Okay. So but someone, I think if someone is not willing to play, they just decided I'm not going to play, and the other team still wanted one. I find that to be, that's a violation of our pledge that we're going to play out all the games, right? If both teams get to the point where they say we can't fit it in, I don't know why we're going to punish anybody at that point. Because it's not like these teams are looking into it saying, well, we don't have to finish up. It's not an incentive for people not to do something.
Well, that was the case with us. We couldn't find enough players.
Well, is it a factor of enough players, right? That's the thing. It's not so much, I just don't feel like playing. It's
But is
you
that
don't
a
have
good
the players
reason?
to play.
Is that a good reason to find somebody? To me, no, because we don't
No.
have a overriding large problem with people just not finishing a season. At least at this point, on the older ages, it's worse. Just like red cards are worse, but it's not something that's probably above a couple of percentage points. So my feeling is if we start to really ram home stuff on teams that really were not able to do it because of one reason or another, they just got screwed out of a game.
Yeah, but if both teams are agreeing with it, yeah, and they're perfectly fine with it. But I mean, at this point,
Well, if they're perfectly fine with it, we can always grant them. I mean, there's nothing in the rules that say we can't say, all right, you can play after March 31st.
no, that's what I'm also saying too. You can still. I think the only biggest concern is games that might count. Games that might count towards
Correct.
standings
Correct.
or
But
final.
then someone wants to play, and they have to. Then the other team has to come to the stand. The other team's got to toe the line then, because there is a reason that one of the teams wants to play and wanted to play. So that sets up the forfeit.
I think if one team, even if there is no meaning to the game whatsoever, but if one team says, "Yeah, no, we want to play,"
The other team
then
then
we
forfeits.
fine, then we have to levy a fine. But if both teams are really truly in agreement with saying, "Nah, we're all done. I don't have enough. You don't have enough," then we don't have to pick one or the other to fine.
I think it's, and I don't think we need a rule to do that. I think
No, I think that's just stuff we decide as a committee. Yeah.
The biggest thing to me and what and Greg does have now, in other words, when you say you got this is a problem, and then you look at 3,200 games and you find out that it's 1% of your games or 2%.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
You got to start realizing we're concentrating on 1% of the problem, trying to legislate something instead of just going right to the board and saying, this doesn't make sense, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense.
Right. Right.
So in this way, I think we pay I would
Just pay the referee.
pay the referee, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Who's paying the referees?
They can both pay them.
They can pay the referees.
Yeah,
They both should pay them.
yes.
If they're both agreeing not to play, let them both play half.
Yeah, and that's not a lot. I mean, it's not a heavy duty thing. You're talking about $100, $50, $50
Yeah.
per team.
If it was a forfeit on one part for one team, then they would pay it. But it's not. It's an agreement.
Right. So we pay the referee for not getting the game in and for schlepping all the way to the fields.
Correct.
$100.
Well, we pay them for a game. And now, did they do it twice? You said they did it twice.
Yeah, they did it twice.
Right.
So then they should get paid twice.
Great.
Did we send refs twice?
Yes.
Yep. Then that's
Yeah, two.
they're full referees.
So
One
it's-
can pay for one
That's
round and the
still
other one can play
That's
for the other
still
one.
$100. It's $50 a center, right?
Well, one pays one game, one plays the other.
That's it. One pay one game, one pays the other. One can pay there. Yeah.
All
Wonderful.
right, that's fine.
Simple as that.
That's fine.
Simple as that.
All right, confirm well, we got another one here, but tryout changes. I think we've pounded that into the ground. Is there anything we need to do additionally? No business. It's.
I think Kai's got a handle on that one.
Yeah.
You got it,
And,
okay, Kai?
and we've got to try at this AGM to get that straightened out and make them somehow understand that the system it wasn't well thought through.
Well, hopefully they will listen to not only what Kai has been saying all along, which obviously makes a lot of sense, and to all the people that have gone through these tryouts now already and can say what worked mostly, but mostly what didn't work, and they send some kind of revision to the board, because it is actually, just watching my club go through it, it's just been, and I'm sure it was everybody, but it was a nightmare. I mean, you got kids still playing in tournaments. Yeah, I had a tryout / practice because I had to play in a tournament for the weekend, but yet I was having tryouts for the next year's team, which I wasn't even going to coach. It was going to be another coach. So, because I'm not official coach. I was just the fill-in. So, it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And it took totally away from, and I know a lot of tournaments are low on their numbers now because of it. These April tournaments and these May tournaments. And I'm sure Disney's going to have a fit too. I'll tell you that right now. Because most of these teams that are not really in it right now, they're done. They're done. They're not going to play any tournaments anymore. They're just going to look forward to their next year's teams. That's all.
All right.
So-
Next, continued discussion on referees fee increases proposal. Greg is and I guess Sherry's been talking to him too, but I think Greg met with some of the assigners and I think he talked to the rest of them. And would you relate that, Greg? They had 3 or 4 things they asked us if we could help. One is a scheduling thing, and that's something that's an interesting point, that we allow those guys, the field marshals, they just set their games willy-nilly. And many times it's adverse to getting referees. It's not in a pattern where one game's following another and the ref gets an hour between them or whatever it is. Sherry, in our scheduling, whatever that we call that plug-in,
Well,
is there a way to force games into certain time frames?
I'm sorry, say it one more time. Is there a way?
In the part of our software that does the scheduling, is there a way to restrict or force games into certain time frame?
Yes, I believe there
Kept
is.
it outside it.
We've not done it because we let the field schedulers put the times, but we can
That's
assign
correct.
the
I
time.
understand that. Well,
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe so.
the reason I'm asking, it'd be crazy to bother talking about doing anything like that if we can't do it. So now that we know we can do it, the referees did try to. That was one thing they said, that the scheduling sometimes is just ridiculous and not well thought out as far as utilization of referees, which is getting to be a problem.
And it's not so much our scheduling as it is the club
That's what I
field.
mean.
It's
Yeah.
the field scheduling from the clubs.
Right.
And we've got games ready to start and there's no ARs because they're doing middles from a rec game. And USA and rec games are overlapping each other and there's no ARs available.
Did they have a suggestion?
Well, they wanted USA to take precedent, of course, but I don't know how do you enforce that.
I mean, you can ask. I don't know. You can. What do you do?
Well,
You have to have, if you don't have if you have a rule, you've got to have a policy to punish it, to enforce it.
Right.
More to the point, though, we can restrict the time things. I don't know if we want to do that, but that's something we could talk about more. That's way more difficult for us. Some of the clubs, Mike's like that. I mean, he's got so many games up there that he hasn't got a lot of room. When I see the Schimberg and FC Tampa, I mean, it is, and I'll bet you some of the other clubs that have many games, Steve, you probably got the same thing where you can't really have restrictions, although USA could say we only can start scheduling 10, 12, 2, and 4 or something like that, and that's it. Is that something, is that workable in any way, shape, or form? Does that make any sense? Steve?
Well, the clubs are gonna push back then and say that they can't keep the concession stands open all day long for 8 hours a day because it's ridiculous. It's unrealistic to have.
Yeah.
Well, I could schedule 2 at that time, right? I mean,
Well, I'm just saying that's what they.
no, but I'm saying they don't have to spread them out. If they've got 2 fields, they can schedule. This is just thinking.
Right.
You can schedule 2 at 10, 3 at 12, 3 at 2. So the referees now have a 2-hour frame between any games. Obviously, you can't schedule 2 of them at the same time, so that when you force them into that, here are the time frames that you will have, that you will be allowed or schedule for USA only.
Well, it also comes down to available referees and.
Well, yeah, but the referee, the argument from the signers was, if you're going to get a guy there and you've got games a half hour after it, and there's no, in other words, if you put 2 hours between them, even if you have 3 fields, then you need 3 refs, you need 3 centers, rather than try to shoehorn 2 centers into 3 games.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah.
That doesn't seem that odious. It might be. I mean,
I think it could be. I think we'd have to really talk to also the club directors as well and say, hey, you know.
well, that's what, I mean, it starts with us, though. I mean, we know Mike.
Yeah.
Is that a
I tell you what we've done. We've copied baseball, and that we play games Friday nights for our younger teams. The parents love it because it frees them up for Saturdays.
USA?
Yeah, our USA games, yeah.
Yeah, that might not be
You know,
a
we
bad
tried
idea,
to
too.
schedule more nights for the older kids because of the heat and they work and stuff like that, and we got people who want to do it. Which I thought was, you know, short-sighted. Friday nights. People said you can't get to the games easily.
Friday night lights. Friday night lights.
Well, you got football. Well, for the seniors anyway, you got football too.
A lot of your high school kids are going to want to go to school.
Yeah.
No, they're just for the junior kids.
No, but high school
Oh,
football.
just for the junior
Because
team.
the high school kids they pushed back. It was probably 70-30 against trying to get some games in the evening. Both
Yeah.
to make more density on the weekends if you wanted to play them in Sunday. But mainly, one of them was to get out of that incredible crushing heat and to get away from the rain. But
Yeah,
nobody-
well, that's it too. I
nobody
mean, I
wanted
would
to
much
do
rather
it.
play a night game.
Well, we could allow it, right? If two teams wanted to reschedule on a Friday, we don't stop that.
Oh,
correct?
absolutely. No, if they want to reschedule on a Wednesday, we don't stop it.
All right, so we should leave it to the clubs then and stop trying.
Yeah, I think that part. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Okay, one of the other issues that they did have, and all of them said that field marshals are nowhere to be found. Absolutely nowhere to be found. And the ones that are there are the ones that are inciting the riots at most of the, where we've had problems. So, what we kind of agreed upon, and hopefully that we'll take care of this, is that the field marshal will present himself or herself to the center before every match. No field marshal, no game starts.
Is that a rule change? Are we going to put that in the
Well,
bylaws?
this is what
That's
the
what they'd like
assigners,
us to put in.
the assigners want us to put that in,
Okay.
and it's twofold. First of all, to keep things calm, okay,
Right.
on the field, but more important, the Varzen was specifically adamant about this. He can't assign a 17 or 18-year-old to a 13-year-old match if there's going to be a melee, and the kid's not going to be protected by the field marshal, because certainly the other coach or whoever's inciting this problem is not going to protect the referee.
No.
Okay, so he says, how are these kids going to get any kind of training and be able to do meaningful games if they can't get in there and do them and fear for their life?
Right, and they do fear for their life.
Some of them do, believe it or not. Some of the
No, they
adults
really
fear
do.
for their life.
Can I read you something? Each home team shall have a designated field marshal for all league games readily identifiable by special clothing. The field marshal shall assist the referee in fixing any equipment problems. The field marshal shall report to the club, which shall report to USA any altercations, incidents, or the action taken to resolve. The field marshal should not attempt to become physically involved, but in the event of such an altercation, should call the appropriate law enforcement agency. That's in our bylaws right now.
Right, but
Okay.
the difference is that they can still play the game even if they don't.
But it
What
doesn't-
we're saying is a home team game will not start until a field marshal is present and represented. on
Because
that.
we're-
And if they can't
If we're gonna
start,
put
then they
that,
end up
if we're gonna
forfeiting.
put that into the bylaws, Steve, I would make it at least at the referee's discretion.
The referee doesn't know at the beginning of the game, though.
Well, not if the field marshal doesn't come up to him, then he says, well, I'll do it without a field marshal being here. I'm fine.
Okay, all right.
But but the point is, we make them, one of the rules we have shall have a designated field marshal for all league games. So we have it in our bylaws now. It's not enforced. All we're gonna do is put so I guess I'm suggesting. So Greg, we put in another sentence that says if I'll think of it, but I mean if the referee is not comfortable with
If the referee's not
calling
comfortable
it
with
a
it,
real,
they have,
then
Yeah.
he has the
They have
right not to start the match until one is
Start the game.
appointed.
that's fine, something like that.
Are we gonna say it can't be a member of the home team's parents?
No,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be.
No, because some of them, Alex, are I mean, some of them, look, if I were there or you were there and you had a kid.
I hate to say it, but and I know it's a pain in the butt for some small clubs, but it should be a league official.
I don't think you make that. In other words, you got a field marshal, you got to assume the guy has or the woman has the integrity to protect all players. We got to make that assumption.
Can I say something here?
Yeah, absolutely.
If the field marshal is not the parent, you can't get it done. We just don't have enough volunteers in the club. But what we have to do, and what I do with my team, is make sure that whichever parent is the field marshal is responsible and somebody I trust to be unbiased in whatever the decision making.
Yes. I mean, I think there are enough people out there that have a personal integrity that if they become the field marshal, they're not going to start handing out weapons to the home team and not, and not look at them and say, here, take the billy clubs, you do it for the team. You gotta hope that whoever they appoint as a field marshal has the integrity to act.
So you should say the head coach of that team decide who the field marshal should be.
I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't?
I'd say it's the club. It needs to be the club.
Well, the problem is that at the club level, the club really don't get too much involved in the field marshal issue. It's usually the coaches. At our club, that's how it works. The coaches make that decision.
Oh,
Well, if that's how your club works it, then that's fine. That suits the law. You say, here's how we do it. We let but you have one, and you have an identifiable one, and the ref said, if I can't identify him, I'm not going to start the match because I'm not comfortable with this. Now, that to me is the strongest, I think. Now, look, I'm open to anything. I really don't care. I'm just thinking the more complicated we make it, the more we have protests and appeals and all the other stuff. We already have a necessity that a field marshal is present and is identified. That's already in our bylaws. But what we haven't said is the referee has the right, if he doesn't see or if the field marshal is not readily identifiable to the center can not start the game or hold the game until that becomes evident.
All right, I have a question here. So if St. Pete Raiders, for instance, if we travel 2 hours down to play at Port Charlotte and there's no field marshal present and the referee doesn't want to start the game, if they're not able to produce a field marshal, if they ask for volunteers and they don't get somebody to do it, and the referee says, well, I'm not going to play the game, we've wasted 2 hours. Shouldn't there be like a forfeit?
it is a
Well, I
forfeit.
would say it was a forfeit, yeah.
It's a forfeit.
Okay. Well,
It is a forfeit.
that should be written in there too then, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Paul,
good point.
Penalty
Yeah,
too.
good point.
Paul, I
Well,
had a
yeah, that's
question here.
an excellent point. Yeah.
Paul,
All right, so we add in the referee
Paul.
that doesn't start the game and the home team, and the team that does not provide the field marshal will forfeit.
We'll forfeit the game, yeah.
All right, so we want to put that, we want to vote on that next for the AGM.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
Can the field marshal be on the schedules just like on the game report, the game card, just like the referee, identified in
I think there is a place for him.
in advance?
Not anymore. There's not. There used to be. The new USA forms don't have that on there anymore.
No, but the game report's got it in Got Soccer, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm pretty sure I see field marshal on there every time.
Hold on. I'm looking at it right here. Hold on. Referee conduct, player conduct, spectator conduct. Here's. Can I digress 1 second?
Mhm.
Here's this is real funny. Well, they filled out the entire game card, but it says where the player passes received and checked, and it's got no for both teams. What's up? I mean,
That's a ref problem. We can't deal with that here, Greg. That's,
no, I know. I'll
That
deal with it with the assigners and the referees, that they have to start filling out the reports properly.
a lot of the stuff we talked about, but let's go back to this. So we're
I'm
certain
looking for it.
there
I'm
are two
looking for
parts of the addition to club official. A, the center ref has the right not to start a game if the field marshal is not readily identifiable. B, if he doesn't start the game does not proceed. The team that did not provide the field marshal, i.e. the home team, will forfeit the match. So
Yeah, and what they'll have to do then is there is no place to show the field marshal on here, but in the game incidents where they have to fill out the report on the game, they will have to put in there that the field marshal was not present and they could not find one. We'll have to make sure I tell them that's how they're going to have to fill out their card.
All right, so somewhere this week we'll have to suss out that to put that sentence into that
Right.
particular all right.
One of the other things we talked about as well was coaches don't get red cards. Okay, they get written up, or they're asked to leave the field. Okay, And sometimes they put the remarks in there, sometimes they don't. What I'm looking to do is try to find like an offense code, an offense code for a player, UB, 2CT, whatever it may be, whether it's multiple cards, behavior, or whatever. I'm just wondering if I can.
Can I read you something?
Yeah.
G, under coaching. Ungentlemanly conduct. Coaches, players, or player substitutes shall not use profanity or make insulting or otherwise derogatory remarks or gestures to their own team, the opposing team, referees, or the spectators. Cases unruly and behavior, let me finish, will be reported by the referee to the USA Vice President. Where is it? Result in suspension or expulsion. Now, what additionally does that not cover?
What addition?
Additionally, what isn't covered in that? We got punitive measures. Look in page 19 of our bylaws. We cover it. The refs do not enforce it most of the time. Greg,
they're not writing it up. Correct.
In other words, what I don't want to do is cluster up this, have specific. Right. The guy says F, this covers it. It's a very broad thing, and it says ungentlemanly conduct, enticing ill behavior. Coaches, players, or player substitutes shall not, by their remarks or gestures, in any manner entice disruptive behavior. Punitive measures. Coaches, so anybody that does that, coaches, players, player substitutes, violating the above rules will be subject to ejection as well as further disciplinary action.
And we've got the disciplinary action covered in the FYSA Code of Conduct.
Yeah, so I don't think we need any more specification of what the conduct is. A referee says it's against our laws, G4, boom, it's on our lap. More specificity just makes for more argument. That covers everything.
Okay.
I mean, I think the issue is more, again, just referee education that they report it.
I agree. I think that's really, Greg, that's the one thing, and it's hard to throw it back on those guys because they do work hard. But if they're not going to enforce the rules we have to protect themselves, they need to know we will back them up 100%. We will not put up with any type of behavior like that. But they've got a way right now. They've got both a field marshal and a code of conduct in USA particularly and FYSA that covers everything that's possible. It's a matter now of invoking it and saying, all right, you're out. I'm calling a match. You tell the coach, if it doesn't stop, I'm calling a match. We'll back it up.
Works for me. That's all there. That's all the. Keep in mind, I was talking with the assigners, not the referees.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm saying that this isn't a dictation from me. I'm saying, that's the logic of it. If there's more there, then put it. Let's put it in. But I can't see make it. We've covered it in past years where we're getting that type of behavior. The referees have to. Anytime we've ever gotten in, we've supported it 100%.
Got it. The only other issue that I had brought to them was that obviously reporting of scores.
Yeah.
Getting the game reports in with the scores.
Right here now, Sherry, I talked to you about this.
Yes.
You don't get all the game reports, but you somehow follow up on that. If we're missing game scores, and Greg, I appreciate you doing this. We had 37 missing game scores out of 3,400 matches.
And actually, I'm the one that did that, and I just sent an update. Okay. No, it doesn't matter, but I just sent an update, and it was actually 31.
Okay.
I found a couple after I sent that.
At that point, it's not
yeah.
Is there some way we can help you get game reports more easily, Sherry? That's probably what I'm asking. Is there another thing we can do in there that's even better without being odious, without having someone that has to come to your house and tell you in person what the score was? But
Paul, I mean, again, you know, it's just about what we are doing. Is the referees not? Are we not holding the referees accountable to something with a penalty for not doing it? We want to penalize clubs. We want to penalize teams.
you can't.
But we're not penalizing the referees for not doing the job that we're paying them for.
Good, but the only way to penalize them, Mike, is to tell your sign and don't use this guy anymore.
And we don't have enough.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
we have that. I mean, we can tell them, hey, don't use this guy anymore. In fact, I think somebody suggested there was a ref out there from where Dunedin or somewhere like that. Someone suggested you might not want to use this guy because we have a brouhaha every time it happens. And I mean, I think that's what it's not the system, Mike. It's how it's all the volunteers and the guys involved not taking advantage of all of the things that are available to them to make the system work. I think.
But we should
the system being wrong.
But we should have some kind of direction to them of what we expect of a league from their. They can't keep ignoring what they're supposed to do, and we are trying to find a solution to what they want to do. Because even if we find a solution, they're not going to turn in the reports.
Yes. Well, I mean, look. If it's 31 reports out of 3,400, I don't know why we missed them. I mean, it is, but that's pretty incredible, I think.
now I should make it clear, I did not include the 9s and 10s in that because we don't keep the standings until it's really irrelevant. There was many 9 and 10s games never reported. So this is 11s and above.
Well,
and I mean,
but
it's really not a lot.
We're going to go back now to 9s and 10s. We are going to keep score, and we are going to have standings, so that is going to be relevant. And we need to.
Yeah.
Well, we need to cover that at the meeting, though. And Greg,
That's the problem. What you have is for 9s and 10s, you got high school freshmen and sophomores doing the games, and they don't have no clue on how to fill out a game report or how to upload it or do anything.
Then they shouldn't be given a game.
I agree. I agree.
If they don't turn a report in, they shouldn't get another game, period.
Exactly.
Well, you know what it is, though? It's because the clubs assign them and pay them. We don't have it. There's no interdiction on our part between that.
If I know of a referee in my club who don't turn a report, I will stop him from doing games.
Yeah. Well, that's what, I mean, again, let's go back to that. That's a matter of someone, Greg or Sherry, getting back to the club and saying, we're not getting the 9s and 10s, and it's not going to work for us.
And I know of a few because this year I had to fax Sherry at least 3 different reports because they were never turned in.
Yeah, I agree. It's the only solution to that, Greg, really is, and it's not even a solution, it's a possible solution, is us assigning the 9s and 10s where we've got a modicum of control over who gets those, who's in the middle of that field.
Well, that was one of the suggestions that the assigners did make, is give them back the scheduling of 9s and 10s.
I mean, personally, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Why don't we try to discuss it at the AGM and see? It's not a bylaw. It's just something we do.
It's a procedure, sure.
Yeah, it's a procedure. So we can change. We can do that before the season starts. We can tell them that's how we're going to assign it.
One of the last item, 4th official. We talked about it. It was brought up by the assigners that having a 4th official would make things go a lot easier. Would keep the coaches in check.
Agreed. Who pays them? The club?
And where do we find them?
Well, that's the next question.
That's the next question.
The club pays them, so now we tell the club we got another $50 for us. And many clubs will figure that's okay. I don't know.
I remember when we talked about this. Wasn't that just for specific clubs that had a history of problems? Not for everyone?
It isn't for everyone at all now, as far as I know, Mike. It's not a rule. We have 3 refs. That's all. We're assigning 1, and the clubs are assigning 2. Nobody is assigning a 4th official, unless. And I don't know any games that we know a priori. We had 1 game where guys didn't want to go from Charlotte to somewhere, North Lakeland maybe. Was that the game, Greg, that they were to go there? And we got in touch with North Lakeland guy and explained in no uncertain terms, and he was on in the meeting, that if anything happens at that match, anything, it's going to be their ass. So again, we get a fourth official to solve a small amount of problems. I like Mike's idea, actually. If we need, we might want to put something in there. I don't know, as a procedure, that if we feel it necessary, clubs will have to have certain games. Will have to have a fourth official. That would have to be the clubs that have to, membership would have to vote on that, because it's going to cost them.
Yeah. I mean, I thought when this was discussed in 3 or 4 months ago in the USA meeting, that was the direction, that there was specific clubs that were known to have issues where that fourth official would be present.
What we did do, Mike, but just so you know, and I don't, I guess, you can't stay up with everything. We had 2 clubs, if I'm not mistaken, that we got multiple problems. In other words, we don't, until we have a problem, we don't know what's going on until the ref tells us. But we had one club this year that sticks out in my mind, where it was 2 or 3, and we've had it in the past. We've had at least 3 or 4 clubs. Greg, you did send a letter out. We sent a letter to them and said, look,
Right.
we have a right now, Mike. We changed our bylaws so we cannot accept anybody for cause. That gives us an open right. And I had the lawyer that we hired check into that, and he said it's perfectly legitimate. You have your right to have behavioral conduct things. So we said to the club this year, and we said to the other 2, that any more you're on probation, any more problems, we either we don't schedule any more home games at your place, or we don't schedule you in a league anymore, because we shouldn't have to be subjected to insane spectators from anybody.
Right.
Find another place to play, Go, and the kids will say, "Oh, the kids." I know there was the argument before. "Oh, the kids are you're hurting the kids." No, the kids will go to a club where it's well regulated. That's what's going to happen.
Hey, Paul, maybe we should have the fourth official at primarily senior games.
Well, if you did, you'd probably
Because
start
that's where most of the problems occur.
I would say senior boys. If you look at the red card thing, I mean, it's skewed to 3
Well,
groups almost.
I'll give you some food for thought with that. In the boys, ages 15 and 16, and 18 and 19. That's where all the yellows and reds came from. 15s had 166 yellows. The 16s had 164. 15 and 19 red cards, respectively. The 17 boys had 78 yellows, 5 reds. The 19 boys, 158 yellows, 35 reds.
That's why you have the fourth official. Let them share the cost, both teams.
Well, again, that doesn't say you still won't have red cards and yellows at those matches. The fourth official is no help. He's really a help managing the coaches and spectators. The center has the field locked up. I mean, that's his job.
But they can correspond and help to solve the problem.
Well, they can. I mean, again, a kid has tripped another kid in the field. The fourth official doesn't do us any good at all in that matter. All he can do is help us manage the reaction to that. What we have here, ungentlemanly conduct. In other words, my point about the refs is if he's getting a lot of guff from a kid, he's got the right here by our bylaws to throw him and toss him out of the game right there and then bam, And I don't know that a fourth official, another $50 or whatever it is, I agree it would be good, but for the $50, wouldn't the other thought is give it to the center and the kids, really give them some money, right?
These guys are lucky they don't play high school, because the totals for yellows and reds for all boys ages, 822 yellows, 112 reds.
Wow.
That's astronomical.
But it's predictable. How do you coach the age group? Mike's coached that age group.
I know.
You put them on the field, you tell them not to do stuff. Only in high school, where they're going to get thrown, where they're going to get detention, there'll be some ramifications, behavioral ramifications. We don't have the power to affect their school or anything else, but we do have the power to keep them out of the league. We do.
But the coaches need to control this.
Yes. Well, the coaches.
On my team, I have a rule: you don't talk to referees.
Right.
You don't challenge calls because that's not your job. The coach challenge the calls.
No, I agree.
The coach deal with those situations.
If everyone regulated
Any player that does that, come sit on the bench with me.
You wouldn't have a problem if everyone regulated the people like that, but that's obviously not what's happening. And so I'm saying we got to go after the coach and the club for these behavioral things. They got to bear the brunt of this, and we have the bylaw in there. The referees got to enforce it. They got to run them. And you say, now you've been run 3 weeks in a row, man. We'll be looking at you, and we're going to suspend you. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't know that the refs, Greg, understand that we're in back of them. I mean, there's plenty of authority. They have all the authority they need. We need them to reject that authority.
Right. And like I said, I'll make sure. And if we have to we've got the bandwidth now where we'll be able to, we want to have I'll have referee meetings before the start of the season.
Yeah, and I think Mike's absolutely right. And we know that we've got to tell them we're paying you, and we're proposing to raise the fees, so at least they've got some indication from us that their time is important to us, and that this is something worthwhile. They're not going to make $1 million, but it's a little more worthwhile than it was. We want you to act like a professional out there, please.
Yep.
But from a bylaw standpoint, we only got the one thing right now, and that's the one, the additional.
What about the club pass players?
All right. We have something in there for club pass players. Have you read it?
Yeah, but
it's very clear.
Does it specifically state that they must be from USA teams?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Okay, then we're good.
So the club pass rules are clear. Again, we only have problems where people don't enforce the ref before the match does not enforce our rules, the club pass. We have the whole thing about club pass, and it's quite it's quite clear. Here it is, Greg. It's in 204. In our bylaws, 3, or wait a minute, 5 during regular season. 3 club pass players, which we may want to increase one. I don't know, but
I've been practicing. I'm practicing my rec team.
Club pass players we listed as club pass players on God Soccer. They can only participate in 1 game per day. The club pass players have to be. Where is it?
Are you sure it says that they have to be USA players?
Yes.
What's it in 204?
I read it today.
You did. I mean, I know they have to play in a division equal to or lower, or they have to be playing. They can be playing in a division.
The whole thing, but also, okay, here it is. A club pass player may only club pass from one team in a club in which the player is either recreational or USA League team player.
Where's that at? 204?
204, subchapter S, subchapter A, subchapter C. It's at the top of the page. Club pass player may only have 1 club pass play from one team. So it says it can only be recreational or from a USA league. It's a club to another team in a club is set forth in specific criteria adopted by the board of directors and posted on the website.
Gotcha.
So it's there also. In other words, in the past, I mean, the guys that have done this really scrape these rules together reasonably. There are some things we have right now that we didn't enforce or aren't enforced. It's not like they're not in a bylaw or something.
No, but I think some of these rules that we have had a lot of questions about, we maybe highlight them, pull them out, and put them in a separate, like on a separate,
Yeah, and maybe something, Steve, at the not
the
that
coaches
it matters, but at the coaches meeting, you go back
Yeah.
and say again.
Give them a sheet of ones that are high profile ones, the
Right.
club
It's
pass
easy for
player
them to
ones.
do that, though. It's easy for them to list those players to have them on the USA roster. It doesn't matter where else they're playing. They can be on the USA roster.
Yeah, I mean, we all know there's a way around it all. They can add and drop and add and drop and add and drop.
Oh yeah, there's gray areas where they can
What
have
about,
them.
But as long as they were on the roster at the time the game card was printed, then they're cool.
the use of the points awarded? Someone suggested to change the win. Was it 5-3-0? Is that what I'm thinking? Is that what I heard? Right. Have you points awarded?
I think that was Kai's recommendation.
What's that?
Well, the way we allot points.
Points. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I thought, we should maybe get in line with how, 3 points for a win and 1 point for a tie, and not this 5 and 2.
Yeah, I think the games would be more meaningful at the end of the season. I mean,
you want to change it to 3 and 1.
Yeah, just like it is in
A tie's worth a third of a win.
3 for a win, 1 for a tie.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the second change. We got to find out the bylaws and put that in.
Can we put something in the bylaws going back to the rule before, as far as the club pass players, that to try to have them get around the gray areas, that they have to be rostered for at least 3 games or something?
Yeah, we
on
could.
the US.
The point, what happens, Steve, is for us to start checking all of that is really an ass buster. That's
Well, we're not going to check it, but if it is protested, then we can check it.
Yeah.
Well,
we're not going to regulate it all, but
No.
See, that's my complaint about FYSA, Steve, is that they got a shitload of rules that they have no skin in the game to either enforce or anything else. I mean, they just send the rules out, and we're the ones that are tying ourselves in knots clerically. I guarantee you, we spend more money clerically than any league in the state.
Yeah.
And
that's just a shame, because you'll have FS.
And it shows. In other words, when we're down to 1% of missing games for it, that's phenomenal. We had 10 unplayed games out of 3,400.
Yeah, it's just a shame that you'll have MPL clubs, teams that will.
But by the same token, we espouse and want the best play. We're trying to get the most elegant play possible. If there are better kids allowed to play, right. In other words, if better kids can come in and play on those teams, then that is better for our other kids, right? Because they're playing against stuff.
If they're going to play in a first division, yeah, sure.
Well,
but if they're going to
they can't go in a second or third.
Yeah, that's the problem I have. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Some of these coaches think we came in on the turnip truck.
No, I know.
But the thing is with GOT Soccer, if they're not on the game card, okay, and then you find out later that they are, there's a timestamp as to when they were put on. So they can complain all they want, but they can't fake the timestamp, because I've had that happen twice this year where they put them on the roster after they played them.
Well, yeah, that's different. I mean, that's totally different. Yeah.
The other thing to consider about that is that's what we're always grappling with, of those particular games and events. That's what the executive committee is for. We don't get 500 of them. We only get a few, and that's really for us to look at and make a decision. And to try and cover it with a bylaw, I mean, I think we make reasonable decisions about what's horse shit and what isn't, normally. I mean, we got to balance. The guys on the board right now are as balanced a group as you could possibly get. There's no one out to get anybody or anything else. So that you got to figure if the exceptions get forwarded to us, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Okay. I mean, those are the areas that Greg can check and Sherry can drill in. And a couple times, I mean, we check stuff all the way. We got the one kid from Plant City. I mean, when we really start bearing down on it, we had great evidence when we confronted somebody. We had impeccable evidence that what they're saying wasn't true. In every case, I thought. You know, it seems like the over bylaw, you know, it's just we seem to be making good decisions and we have only a few of them to do. Let's just
Well, I think we do a good job of putting it plain and simple out there. If we find that you're circumventing the rules to the point where you're creating unfair advantages.
You have cogent rules. I mean, I just read them. That's pretty simple stuff. I mean, you're either right there or you.
I mean, I tell my coaches, look, you might get away with it, but if I see you're circumventing it.
You know, the other thing is a couple teams that did have one or two kids that were playing games. They weren't overpowering teams. I mean, it wasn't like the kid changed. You haven't got anybody out there like Pele or somebody that's going to change the tide of the game. That's going to stick out. The one kid that was very good, everybody knew where he came from in the whole background of it. So that was, I think we were okay with the bylaws we have are there to enforce, you know.
I think I only had one all year, though.
Yeah, well, we always have a couple, but I mean, I don't think the year was unusually bad.
No, I didn't have that many complaints about those types of things at all.
It is alarming when you first get on this board to see some of the stuff you see at first.
Yeah.
But then you realize, shit, that's out of 3,400 games, we're going to have some unusual events. If it's an overwhelming amount, then we need to do something about it. If not, the system we got in place seems to be keeping in check, kind of.
Right.
Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've been listening for a few minutes. I wanted to introduce myself.
Yes.
This is David McFerrin. I'm from the Wesley Chapel Soccer Club.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Joined real late. I'm sorry. I missed the first.
Good to have you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good you're here. And if you got something interesting, let us know. You know, the failure to report scores. Again,
I think that was, I put that there, just, I think we already covered it. Just, are we going to do anything when the scores don't get reported?
Would you be
from the referees you're talking about?
If you did not follow up, would that number 31 be up to 200?
I followed up on a lot of them.
Okay.
I followed up on a few, not as many as she did, though.
Yeah.
All right, so.
I mean, my only thought was maybe did you want to say, like, I don't know if it would be a rule, but for the coaches, if the score is not reflected by Wednesday following the game, that then they're obligated to report it, or it won't. If you want to get
most do actually. The couple of complaints I've got was
a lot do, but not
a lot don't, Steve. That's why the number's only 31.
We pay the referees, and we shouldn't have to report the scores, but it should be if within 48 hours they don't report the scores, they don't get another game.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, something along those lines. But
we had that's in place already. We could tell the assigner the guy doesn't report the scores.
So I was kind of thinking like we would say then the game doesn't count, and I mean that's.
No, he get 48 hours, and if he doesn't report it, he doesn't get another game.
Yeah, something to that effect. I like that. Yeah.
But that is.
And then by Wednesday you're going to hear coaches. I mean, that's what I've heard from coaches saying, "Hey, my score is still not posted." That's the biggest complaints I got. Hey, my score's not posted yet. My score's not posted yet. So what do, Sherry? You usually finally track the coach down, and he says, "Oh yeah, by the way." So the coaches will let us know if the reports are not posted, and then I agree with.
Sherry, where do you get the scores then? Not from the ref.
I can.
You're getting it from the coaches anyway.
I get it from
What do we do? What do we do when you're not getting game reports? Also.
See,
nothing right now.
Well, that's where the scores come from.
That's where the scores come from.
This is a job that these guys have, and their job is to report. And if they don't do their job, they get terminated. Period.
Yeah. Our problem is Marcus, is we don't pay them. The club pays them.
Right.
But that's why I'm saying as a
the
person,
money's already been paid, and
as a person
Well,
who pay them, I'm
and-
saying if they don't report my scores, they get terminated.
And this is right here for the game report. And this is myself. I have a younger team, and I went to a club. I asked at the end of the game. I have a book. I keep all my game reports. When I get my copy, I put them in there just in case anything happens.
Yeah,
I went to a club, and they said, "Oh, we don't use the paper copies anymore. The ref was just going to go over and put it in the system."
but see, that referee was remiss right there because he's got to have all of that information.
Right. Well, and I understand that part. And so, and in general, and I'll have to give it, it was put in. But I did not, if it was never put in, then I didn't have a copy. And actually, Gary contacted me on one of my other games that I did, but I never got a game report. They never had the paper. I asked about it, never did anything.
I think that was
So
one
it's
of
not-
the. In fact, that was probably the first thing in the assigners meeting. That's our pressure comes from the assigners. We go back to the assigners and said we don't have 12 games. Get to the refs. If it's
Maybe
continual, you say don't use a ref anymore. We can't ever get any game reports. It's useless to us.
But maybe, Mark,
We
both
can't
teams,
use
in this case, both teams should do paper. That way, if one don't do it, the other team has it.
Well, if the coach doesn't want to do it, then he assigns that to the manager.
Yeah, but if each team take a paper report, then that solved the problem.
How about the referee just gets paid after the game? He goes in and he reports the score, and he gets his money.
That would fix the
Yeah.
problem.
It goes to the ATM after the game.
That's how we used to do it. That's how it used to be done years ago.
But many times, just to for you guys that don't well, I guess all you spend time in the field. You know as well as I do. Sometimes you're not, or whoever is not there at the end of the game because he's gone out. He's getting the garbage cans in, or he's getting the goals in, or something else. When that guy is at the end of the game, he wants to leave, and he has a right. I mean, I agree with the refs.
Well, we just have to
because you don't have the money ready for him.
We just have to make sure the coaches know to keep the copy of the report, or otherwise, why do we pay to have those damn things printed up every year?
Well, that's it. I mean, if they turn in those reports, I mean, those would if the referee reported the score wrong, we use those paper reports to.
It's failure to perform is a larger problem than not having. We have the reports, we have the rules, we have a failure in the individuals because we've got 500 coaches and 250 refs. And I think that was the center point of the meeting Greg had with the assigners, which we
pressure on the assigners to make sure their employees perform.
Yes, it's saying, look, you guys, now we're proposing to raise both the ref fees and the assigner fee.
Well, then, like we said, we go back to
They don't report my game, they give me $20.
We're going to get to a point where they actually want to perform, and that the money matters, and losing the job matters. But right now, with the current situation with referees in general, not at every club, but in general, they're so thin. We're doing everything we can to keep them out in the fields. I mean, we got a bunch of guys out there that we really should have paddles at the games. I mean, they're not my age, but my God, man, some of them. If we lost guys over 50, we wouldn't have enough refs to conduct the thing. And then the league is going to we will have to contract if that's the case to do that. We're finding we had some places this year that continually did not have refs on the field, which we're going to take up in the next point, But we know that, in other words, we've got a way to enforce it. We have a rule to enforce it. Now the question is, we got to continually, with Greg and Sherry, stay on it. And they do a hell of it. I mean, to get under 1% in score reporting over 100 games is incredible. So that what Sherry's saying is 300 more that she had to run down, that we would like to slow that down and stop that time.
What, years ago, or 4, 5, 6 years ago, wasn't it the coach's responsibility to go to like an age group coordinator after the game and report the score?
Well,
the coach would just report the score.
There was
but we went to an age group coordinator.
And I'll tell you a story about that, Mike. We had a kid that had supposedly 4 games from the preceding year that came over from another club. So they said, well, he hasn't served his 4 games. I said, well, he has. And, you know, we sent all the paperwork in. Do you have it? All the things that you were sending in, correct? All that paperwork you were sending in, nobody ever kept it. Nobody ever filed it. No one ever did anything. It was probably sitting in someone's garage. So when I asked the question about, well, you must have them, we send them. So USA must have them in some place that we can just check to see, right? No. So all that system that we had in place looked good, but it really wasn't it wasn't effective at all.
Yeah,
That's why
I used to just send a simple email and say, this was the score, you know, because the winning team always wants that score posted quick.
Yes.
Sure.
They're the ones that are checking it the next day or within 48 hours to make sure it's in
But
there.
some of the coaches just aren't that knowledgeable. I think that's where we end up now. At the coaches meeting, we try and stop that, but we know we're not 100% effective because we're dealing with basically volunteers, and we have no they don't work for us. We can't fire them, so we have to try and do it in a cooperative manner, and that's, you know, where we're at. We're constantly putting pressure on them to get those game reports in.
Well, I heard,
And that's all we can do is consider. It's like having kids, you know, you tell them every day, and then the next day you got to tell them again, you know, and that's what this thing is.
I heard Frank had a huge bonfire last year. He burned all of
Well, it wasn't Frank's fault. I mean, I'm not blaming Frank. I'm just saying there was no system in place. Those things got so many. Some of the coordinators didn't exist. I mean, they really weren't coordinators. They were doing nothing. You know, they weren't. You know, they stopped coordinating after the first game.
Can I just say, I would like, I know that the rule is the referee does it, but if we could stress that if the coaches don't see it reported by 48 hours, that they can send in a copy of the game report.
Well, where we cover that, Sherry, is at those meetings. And
Right.
Yeah.
Look,
No, not really.
you guys, if you don't see the scores, you've got to keep the game scores so you can send them in.
I'd rather do it that way than having to chase it later when people
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have the
Man, listen.
paperwork.
No,
So are we going to say that would be valid?
And that's good, but we pay these referees to do a job, and they should do their job.
I agree.
Totally agree, but I know over here in Pinellas, the referees shortage is ridiculous. We start
It's everywhere, but I mean, it takes nothing to fax a report in within 48 hours. I mean, it's a simple process.
The coordinator, Mike, in Pinellas, which is, and he's a good guy. You know, he says there's only so many of these guys I can get rid of.
Oh, I know it. I know Dave.
Dave doesn't make any bones about it. You know.
Yeah.
I know I'm new to the conversation, but why not a financial penalty versus a complete termination?
Well, you'd have to get the referee. First of all, we have no right to charge a referee anything because we don't pay him anything.
Scorecard.
But you could hold his fees, right?
No,
We don't pay him.
No?
we don't pay him. That's the first thing from a management standpoint. It's an imperfect system because we don't have that lever. We don't pay him. The club pays him at the time the referee walks on the field.
Well, I just sent my referee assigner an email telling him that I need to meet with him next week to discuss the season before we get going forward.
Yeah,
with what
see,
the club expects.
that's what we need from 30 guys, and that's all that we. If we had that, this would solve itself.
Hey,
But we don't
I
get the
think that's what every club should do. Meet with the referee assigner, tell him what the expectation is, and go forward from there.
They,
well,
the
you know, we've had clubs this year that we had problems with.
Yeah.
That we could not find anybody, and a few out by you, that we couldn't even find anybody initially to contact at the club. That's how poorly run the club was because we got, you know, so now we've got the guys, not only not saying to anybody, they're not even there, you know, who knows how that thing's running. I got no idea.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you though, Paul, if I ever get a coach that says, okay, I've got a game report here. It shows I've won 3-2. It hasn't been reported since Wednesday. And Sherry, you know, can't find the referee. I'm just going to tell them as long as both coaches are okay with the score and it's reflected on the game report and they show us a copy, then we keep that as an official copy at this point. And then we decide to say, hey, okay, this referee, we talk to the assigner and say, look, this referee is not reporting his scores. After, once we'll give him a warning, and after that, he's limited. We're going to be limited in what we give him because it's not a, he's not being responsible.
I think that's something, Steve, that happened every week between Greg and the assigners. I mean, every week he was calling them about how many games and emailing how these games particularly I do not have scores for. We did it every
Unfortunately,
week.
Not reporting scores is stealing money from the clubs.
Yeah.
True.
Well, hopefully now, if we raise the fees, they're not raised, dramatically, but we're going to raise all the fees. So
That's your what?
it's a little more in their, it's a little more in their interest to perform,
In our meeting with the assigners, we did show them how they can pull the report also, right, Greg?
Right.
Right? So hopefully we can catch it,
Well, we are working on it. I mean, it's not like it's we know it's a problem, and we continue to try and limit the problem.
No, I think when the assigners are more than happy to get with to follow up and get with the referees, they have also agreed that they will be involved in setting up referee classes as well.
Right.
Okay, so it's not that the assigners aren't willing to do the legwork, because they are. They want to see a well-oiled machine and everything runs smooth, just as we do. So they're okay. They're okay with that.
While we're on that subject, change the C3 assigner.
Correct.
Okay, dude.
The reason Sherry and if anybody else, Steve would probably know, when we had Tony, the complaint was, and I think it was a guy from Braden River, and it's a shame Mark isn't here, that Tony didn't know, this was what we heard anyway, that Tony didn't know the refs down there in certain places, and it was difficult for him to assign the proper referees or who it was. Am I correct, Sherry? Wasn't that why we...
That was what they said, yes.
Okay. Now, I don't know if it was true or not, but I mean...
Right.
But it was the clubs coming to us, and it was one particular guy, Greg. It was not, I cannot still think of that fellow's name, but he was the one that specifically said, I see you're still, Tony's still, because we had Tony assigning the older games.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
Yes.
Okay, so all we're talking about now is changing Tony to the younger games.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, when I talked with Tony was on the call with us, Sherry.
Yes.
And I've talked with him prior, and to me, he follows up as well as VARS and as Peterson does, as far as, he goes into God Soccer, he checks and makes sure that he's got people assigned, that they've accepted their assignment, blah, 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 and that everything's fine. They're not going to wait till a Friday night at 10
We
p.m.
don't have to do anything with the assigner tonight anyway, but let's check with Mark and see exactly what the feeling is now, because it was not the lawyer. Who was the other guy? Good guy. The other guy from
Moriarty, Brendan Moriarty.
No, not Brendan. It was the other.
Dan Whitus.
It was Dan. Dan was the one that was so insistent that they really needed a look. They needed the Annette to sign the games, because it was a lot better. And we know
the problem with Annette is she doesn't have the time, and she is not willing to go out there and beat the street for referees like the rest of the assigners are.
Well, I'm fine with it. I mean, for me, it would only be a small change anyway.
Yeah.
Younger games.
Agreed.
If we end up with the 9s and 10s, we got to make a decision about that then.
No.
I mean, I will
Probably
say,
need to, but haven't.
I mean, I can see an argument both ways, but Tony is definitely probably the most responsive assigner that I deal with.
Yeah, I've worked side by side, Tony. He and I've known Tony a long time. And I work side by side now. I'm up at West Pasco. He's good. He's good at what he does.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that. And he's always following through. He's always on his phone. Referees will call him in the last second and say, "Oh my gosh, we got this going on." he'll do whatever he has to do. He doesn't ignore his phone. He doesn't do this, so.
He responds right away when I email him within.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, I would definitely be okay. My personal opinion, not even just because I know him, but just from what I've seen, you want someone that's going to make sure, and that's what he does. He like lives, eats, and breathes it. You know what I'm saying? Like some of us coaches. So
if we just have Greg or Sherry check with Mark, he'd be the one to say, Mark, in the past, what's been the issue with Tony assigning the younger kids games at junior games? And if he says, I don't even remember, then fine, let's go.
Let's just do it.
They were the impetus for the change. And they have a lot of teams down there. I mean, it's a club that is a good for USA and had legitimate complaints, apparently.
Well, I mean, it very well could be that he doesn't know a lot of the referees, but you know what? Then maybe we send him down on a trip there real quick just to meet with them.
If he thinks he can do it and he's competent, that's all I can.
Yeah, exactly.
So I see that I just got it. Did you ever get the email from Merritt? Merritt can't get in because he's the sunset's not till 8:05 at Frenchie's. So, that's a good reason. All right. Is there anything else? So I only have, as far as I know, to work out 2 particular things to format to add to the AGM for our bylaws. Now there was another suggestion. I'll get with the lawyer, and he said you might want to open that up, and I'll get that. But the 2 where we all agreed, we had 2 things about the field marshals. 1, don't start the game, and 2, you're going to forfeit the game if you don't have one.
Yeah, that I think
we'll find out somewhere in the bylaws where it says the number for wins and ties. We'll bring it up for a vote, and we'll change it to 3. And the proposal would be to change it from 5 to 3 for a win, and 2 to 1.
And 1 for a tie.
Can I ask a question about the field marshal? What actually constitutes a field marshal? Can it be someone from one of the teams designated as a field marshal?
Do you have our bylaws, Melissa?
Yeah.
Okay, well, why don't you go to them? All right, and there's a whole thing on club official. It's on page 20, and that might help you.
Okay, because
I have a feeling. Define, as you're saying, no, there's no definition, but in there is what we want to have. If you didn't hear what we're adding, Melissa, did you hear that already? That we're gonna. All right, so. But as far as we talked about early on, can it be a parent? Absolutely. If the parent is someone like me or Steve or some of the guys that do this, they've got a very high personal integrity. They're not going to.
We're at the field today.
They know what to do, and they're going to act accordingly. And if you get guys like Winter Haven that are well regulated, then whoever they have, you have to assume is good. I mean, is capable. And now
like I
that
said,
doesn't
Paul,
guarantee
the way to do it is that we have to make sure that the person we're assigning is unbiased and going to be fair.
Yes. And if you find that's the case, wouldn't you take them? If you found out someone said this field marshal jumped in where he should, you wouldn't have a guy do that again, correct? I mean, a well-regulated club would not have a guy as a field marshal. That's a nut. It may happen.
Yeah, I still think, and I'm not saying we can resolve this today, but I still think we need to start leaning towards it being a league official and not a parent.
A club official.
A club official. That's what I meant. A club official. Like I know I'm there.
Look, but Steve, there are many guys that really are uncomfortable being put in a physically dangerous position, look, I was attacked as a field marshal by somebody. All right.
Oh, that would be worse for a parent. I mean, in that regard.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If someone's going to come after me, they'll come after just about anybody, unless he's 6'9".
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. But a parent. I mean, I'm not saying.
But I'm saying that's the reason a lot of guys don't like to do it, is because.
Well, tough if you're going to be part of the club.
Out of the crowd with a 2x4 and hit you over the head.
Well, we'll give them clubs, but
The official says, "Look, I don't really. I'm not. We can't find anybody that's comfortable." I know some of the clubs had guys that were cops, and they were good. They were there. They were field marshals. In fact.
Yeah, but I've had cops that have been the ones to incite the problem and then say they're cops and can do whatever they want.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
but I mean, the one we had who ended up on our board had like a 2-page write-up. This is 5 years ago, but it was unbelievable. He got everything.
Again, I think,
he was
and
somebody's father.
I think we need to really talk about this I mean, I didn't get involved in the conversation too much, but I think we need to talk about this fourth referee situation. I think it actually is I know it's a cost thing, but I think it's a good idea with the 15s and up, because even if because we know, yeah, they're not going to make a call on the field, okay? But what's making it worse on the field is the parents that keep inciting the fact that there's bad calls, okay?
Exactly.
And with that being said, the kids feed from the parents.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, I had to send, as a coach, I had to send.
Would we be better off hiring cops?
No.
No, I don't think it has to be hiring cops.
That would be more expensive, twice the price.
I think it's a fourth referee that is in charge of those parents, and then, you know, when they start getting unruly, they're gone. You know, and I said,
essentially, we're hiring a field.
And the parents would respect that a lot more, though.
Yeah, but guys, listen up. We get a fourth official. We've got no officials.
Right.
Are you what are you going to have?
Okay, so what I'm saying is it needs to be, but it needs to be then
as a fourth official.
Then it needs to be a club official or a fourth referee.
Hey, we're back to the field marshal, volunteer field marshal, Mike. And
well, it's not a volunteer. If I'm a paid director in a club. Okay, I mean, every club at least has one or two paid directors. Okay, in some fashion or another. You got a director of coaching, you got a director of operations, you got a director of this.
But sometimes,
Stevie,
sometimes they're coaches.
Why is that back?
Sometimes they're coaches in their way. You know, it's just every club has a different set of impediments. Larger clubs may have that, but smaller clubs wouldn't.
Well, I'm talking mostly with the older age groups. I mean, that because that's where the insights are getting most.
I don't know that you're going to get.
Let me give you an example. 2 weeks ago, I was at a game. I was not a field marshal.
That'll give us a lot more, and we should be okay.
I was not a field marshal at a game 2 weeks ago, and the sideline got out of hand, and the referee knew that I'm the club president, called me over.
Right.
I went over, and it's all about the way you handle the situation. If
Absolutely.
you one side versus the other, it's going to be bad. So you have to go in neutral no matter what side you go.
No matter what side you go through. Exactly, and that's how I would do it.
And that's how it has to be done. So it's about training the people that we have who are going to do that to understand it's got to be neutral no matter what they think or how they feel.
That field marshal thing can really get tricky when you get people out of hand, I'll tell you. And it takes sense to really talk them down.
I've had, let me bring up one point I think we're missing here too. And I've had games go both ways with this. Do you feel comfortable calling 911 if there's an injury?
No.
I don't either.
Right.
And I'll tell you why, because by the time you get a hold of 911, then they get a hold of an ambulance and get them out there. Who knows what can happen?
Our police, we have a local number with our police. 911 isn't our thing. We have a phone number.
And what I'm getting at is that's what the field marshal should have the local number.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and that's another thing we should be worried about, though, too, not just who's going to beat up who. Okay, we should, the field marshal should have a medical emergency number to call to get somebody out there ASAP. I will guarantee you.
But hey, that should be right by anybody that signs a lease. Any of us that sign a lease, that's got to be at the center. You got to have that no matter what.
Well, that's another whole aspect of it.
The clubhouse is locked up. You can't find who's got the key. What have you, and the field marshal sure as hell don't know who to call.
But that stuff you can't, again, that's a good advice. Like the stuff Les, I mean, all the stuff Les is saying is that's a well-regulated club there where guys at the head of it that can think. We don't have that in all cases, and that guy isn't at the fields in all cases because we have an enormous amount of games. Some of these fields are just, the president's not there.
Well, we're blessed that 911 is on our field complex.
Also, Les, when you got you and guys like you and Alan and people like that and Mike's, they can diffuse almost anything, but there's only two handfuls of them, and that's the problems we have is those guys aren't around when something goes off invariably because they are normally able to diffuse most situations and get everybody back to either playing or leaving, one of the two. And where we've had most of our problems, there's been no leadership available that was that could diffuse that. And that's really that's something that's endemic with this volunteer soccer thing. Some guys are great at it and some guys aren't. Some guys are presidents, but you wouldn't find them out in the field talking to any parents.
I agree with you, Paul. That's a good point.
It's a ballsy thing. I mean, I've been out there, and I'm sure you have, and had guys screaming at me and cursing and everything else. And you got to really, it's like you got to do everything you can from going off. And if you go off, only two things are going to happen: there's going to be more trouble, or you're going to end up with a split skull. One of the two.
The guys who do that, at the end of the day, they're my friends.
Yeah, but the other problem, Les, so we had a guy, a referee, call the police. The referee filed and had the guy's name, and he filed a criminal report. And is it Sarasota County, Greg? Sarasota County refused to prosecute.
Yep. Yes.
Just to tell you, not to scare you, but that discourages people from, this guy did everything right. The guy threatened him, he pushed him or whatever. He got the cops, he got the guy. So, and I've been trying to get the report, and the problem is we can't get the report, but they declined to prosecute. So all this stuff about, you're protected, not in all cases, because some places just don't do that. So, all right. Somebody want to call it, please? Or you think we've done anything else on this?
Did we talk about game change requests?
No, game change requests. What about it?
No, that was I just threw that on there. Are we going to make any changes to how we're doing those, or leave the rule as it is now?
Well, that was the point about when we open it up to guys being able to change games and redo it, we're going to end up with problems. I mean, that's just endemic in that system. We used to have a system.
I think they've gotten used to it now. And
you either played in the fall, by the fall date, or you didn't play the game. We changed that about, maybe 5 years ago, Sherry?
Yep.
And I don't know that it's created more problems than it's been worth, but it appears as if most guys do reschedule the games and get them in.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, you're always going to have some issues, but I think I would.
Do you think it's better than in the days where we had the cutoff at October 15th and no more games scheduled?
Probably. Yeah, I would say so.
You'd say on balance it's better having the flexibility? Or no?
I don't know.
I mean, what coach doesn't know he's got kids that are playing in high school?
Yeah.
Greg, you got, I mean, when you run down some of these coaches after you got 500, some of them, either they've forgotten that they're coaches or they don't. I mean, there's all kinds of incompetent people, organizationally incompetent people that are coaching youth soccer, not getting paid for it, but just doing it. And that's the problem. We don't have a lever on those people. We do in some ways.
Well, is there any way that we can get, during those coaches meetings that we have, is there any way we can get a DOC to appear at least at one of those meetings?
No.
No.
There's no way you can compulsively, you mean. So if they don't come, we don't let any of their teams in. I mean, that's the type of thing you put yourself into. They're invited. We want them. We encourage them to come. Can we make them come? No.
You think they would take an interest,
Look, after living almost 70 years, I think a lot of things about people, but it's a lot of it I realize is, the one way we can improve the performance of the coaches is to bring one up and beat him to death right in front of the rest of them and say, if anybody else misses any of these rules, it's going to happen to you. Short of that,
why don't you do a
every
DOC?
year we go over the same things, that we're not going to put up with this. We're not going to put. You got to do this. You got to do that. And we've shortened it. We used to give them the Linda Lathrop 3-hour thing going through, slogging through G.
Why don't you do the DOC?
And Steve and myself, to some degree, tried to keep just the main points, bing, 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 so you can remember 3 of them or 4 of them.
But that would be a meeting at the FYSA GM that you could pull together as a league official / DOC meeting.
Yeah. Well, you invite the in some places though, the league of, Steve, some places the DOC has nothing to do with anything. The other places the DOC runs the place, and it's every.
You either have a DOC, either have a president, a DOC, or a director of operations.
What
so
we
one
want
of
is
those people.
The guys that call, we want the guy that calls the shots, whoever he may be,
Well, but I'm just saying that's when you're going to get most of the clubs available that you might be able to pull in.
Yeah, that
a DOC or.
Do you think if we go, you'd go to FYSA first and see if we could back a meeting? I would think you're going to get a flat turn down from them, but we can certainly. Can we do that next week, Greg, and ask and request and say, can we get a room? We'd like to hold a USA meeting.
Yeah,
USA DOC meeting.
A USA DOC / league official meeting. Yes. President, DOC, or director of operations. Those are the 3 that you are in charge.
Right.
I would do it if you want to have a USA meeting. We don't need to have these.
Some of the clubs are Hefe.
Because you're not going to have the coaches there. Not all the coaches go. It's just the league officials that go. Some coaches go, but not a lot.
No, but we did. And Steve, I think we need to line up. You weren't there last year, but we're starting to get a relationship, a better one with these guys we met with last summer.
Yeah.
The 3 leagues. And that's something we probably ought to formalize. I know I got back in touch with them quick, and I gave them numbers to Kai. Kai was going to follow up if he could when he got time. But that's something we should make a formal instead of sitting down before a meeting like we did. Just to get a couple hours somewhere and sit down, because their problems are exactly the same. And some of those guys have better solutions than we've come up with.
Yeah. Okay.
Like to see they beat a guy to death right in their meetings, and it's very effective.
Right.
But
Okay, well,
they
maybe
have the
we'll
same. When you talk to them, they have a lot of the frustrations, and we didn't realize those guys also were not in favor of a lot of the FYSA.
Hey, Paul, when's the Region C meeting?
I got no idea. You have to ask Attilio.
Anybody know when the Region C AGM is?
No idea.
June. Last time it was the weekend of the finals, the semifinals.
It is the second AGM. AGM is the second weekend in August.
No.
No, we're talking about the
Region C
AGM.
Region C.
Oh, Region C. It's actually beginning of July.
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah, they posted it on. They posted it on their Facebook page. Region C.
Oh, very good. Very good.
It's sometime in the beginning of July.
They try and always do it where there's a UEFA Cup game, a semifinal or final if possible, so we can't see it.
Right.
July 8th.
July 8th.
Again, before that happens,
Where's
we
that?
try to encourage everybody in our thing. And that's another place to have a meeting, although I'll tell you, they wanted to have a 2-day meeting last time. The last thing we want to do is have, another conclave where guys got to stay extra hours. It's
right.
That
should never be a 2-day meeting.
They waste half of the meeting because everybody from FYSA has got to get up there and tell us what they do. And it's like, I want to scream,
We already know what they do.
They waste. They have no. They have no respect for our time. I'm bad enough running these meetings. I should talk.
That definitely should be a half-a-day meeting.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hit me with the meat and potatoes. And either that or let's leave the afternoon for this type of thing.
Yep.
Where you can really exchange some views and guys can say stuff and say, here's how we handle that and stuff like that. Just to have the registrar from FYSA and the treasurer come and everybody and a cousin and somebody else's brother-in-law is there. He's selling something and he's up there I mean, it is really insulting. It's a slap in the face to everybody that goes to it, in my opinion. Because it's really, our time is so limited, valuable, you know. We haven't got the time. We got all kinds of ideas and just, you know, I have just failed to be able to implement them because of the time.
To me, that whole thing is just an overlap. If we have an FYSA AGM, why do we have a region meeting? Because it all overlaps.
Because they got to have a meeting. It's what a bureaucrat does. Right?
Then have the meeting, have it half a day, and leave the rest to go to AGM.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, a lot of we have a Regency meeting at the AGM.
Exactly.
We have a Regency meeting in July, and we have.
Yeah, normally that one at the AGM is good. I mean, they're just settling the dates on some stuff. That's all right. But that other one, the one that we get to Auburn, Les, at least you can just, you're not 70 miles away where you're going to drive 70 miles back.
That's right. Hey,
Well,
Les,
guess what?
The
My
pain-
Saturday mornings are very valuable, okay?
you're in
the
charge of
pain-
the donuts, Les.
Huh?
You're in charge of getting donuts. You're close.
Hey, I can do that.
They go through. All right, anybody want to suggest we end this?
Hey, Paul, one thing before you go.
Yes.
I want you guys to seriously think about a spring league.
Mhm.
I got 8 teams playing spring GCFL, and it's a nightmare.
Well,
When do you want to play it?
And I have other teams would love to play spring, but they will not play GCFL.
well, you know, let's bring that in, Les, and even email. In other words, outline a rational age groups and how many games and when would they play.
Okay. We can start out the Commissioner's Cup.
That's something that, hey, Paul, that's something to throw up to the other leagues as well.
Well, that's something to discuss with them because, you
Right.
know,
Right.
if you talk to them, as I did, you would think they're just uber organized. And then you talk to people that are in the leagues, the one league especially, and they say it's a nightmare. It's like
It's a total nightmare. Okay? The way we can make change requests with USA, it's a nightmare. We made game change requests for yesterday's game, and we have people show up that didn't even know they had a game. Because it's not on the schedule.
Yeah, no. But they don't. You know, to my opinion, is another thing I'd like to ask them. They're pretty good guys. I mean, all of them. How much money do you put into the clerical part of this? And that's really the change that we made 4 years ago, was a real intent to run this properly. And it's really Greg and it's really Sherry and Greg who were making it run, you know.
And we don't have meetings
someone
like
to
these.
do that, a volunteer, you know.
We don't know what's going on because we don't have these kind of meetings.
No, agreed. I mean, not to pat our feathers any, but I think we try to run this as efficiently as possible and as well as we can. We still have issues where we're spread over a long area. We still got problems, but we address the problems.
But I have 6 of my 8 teams already told me they'll never play GCFL again.
Yeah. You know what do you? Well, I'll get you guys an aside and ask.
That's why those guys are calling us to join the league, Paul. They want to join us.
Well, honestly, I don't blame them. I mean, if this thing runs better than any league in the state, I think, as far as the amount of games that people miss. We looked at that a couple of years ago, and we had 3% or 2% of missed games out of 3,400. That tells you that whatever we're doing, people are showing up. Then that was the point. You're going to show up. You're going to have a ref. You're going to have a field that's playable, and you're going to have people that act like humans, maybe.
This is my 7th year, and I'm quite happy.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Les. But it's all of us. It's not us. It's you. It's everybody pulling in together, and it only takes. You know, these things are painful on Sunday night, but this is a whole lot better than those Wednesday meetings that we used to have to schlep to by the airport. And that was unbelievable, and we never got anybody to come.
Exactly. But I'm happy. But we should look into expanding this stuff. Okay.
Well, I mean, we could do it. It's just a matter of how age groups, venue, and how many games and where the weekend play is.
Maybe we can solicit from the clubs their input on it, and you get a feel for it.
You propose And if we get something kind of half-assed together and propose it, we got a lot of smart guys around this thing, and you get it squared away pretty quickly. You know, nobody in the board is opposing any good ideas. I mean, everybody thinks, shit, the more ideas we got, the better. You know?
Because the complaints from most teams is, I got to go to a tournament and I can play maybe 2 for the whole spring and it costs me $1,500. Why do I want, and then I have to travel 2-3 hours to get there.
Yeah, well, you know, the travel is something we'll never solve. That's a problem with everybody. You know, we eliminated the C5 teams from the 2nd and 3rd divisions, and they were pissed. And you know, we talked about it and said, look, we just can't do that anymore with 3rd division clubs. They're playing, they're enjoying playing, but you can't make them travel 3 hours all the time. You get in a Premier Division, Les, understandably, you're buying into that whole thing. Okay, you know, but I mean, just to get some matches, it is crazy.
Well, that was one of the decisions I had to make last season, is that, do I want to travel where I need to travel to play Premier? But this year I'm going to have to do that. So, you know, and I'm committed to doing that. So it's just the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, for that level of play, you want the kids to get the widest amount of play in humanly possible. And
but it's the cost associated that people look at. And if I'm paying $300 versus $1,500, I'll travel the extra hour to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the money you can save, you can buy yourself a bus after 2 years.
Hey, that's what my kids told me. Coach, buy a bus so we can all ride together.
Yeah. All right. Well, someone make a motion to adjourn.
They all want to sit here and talk.
Thank you, guys. Great meeting.
All right. Anybody still in there? Steve, make a motion to adjourn, would you?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Please second it, somebody. Mike, are you still there?
Nope.
All right. How about seconding it, Steve?
Kai, where's Kai?
I think Kai's gone too.
Kai's too.
All right. Well, I'll second it. And all in favor, we're going to adjourn the meeting.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
And hey, with Sherry and Greg, I'll try and whip something up on these 2 things to slip into the bylaws and vote on at the AGM.
Yeah.
All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I must have had it on mute because I made 3 motions to adjourn.
Oh, no, we don't know that. We would have been gone already.
I had the 1, and then we talked about something else. And then I had 2, and then we went on to something else.
Right.
And then I went 3, and nobody was listening.
Well, the other guys must have heard that because they all left.
They all left.
Yeah, well, I promise this.
I think the first one you heard me, but we went on to something else real quick, but whatever. Okay.
Well,
so I second, first, whatever. Let's go.
It's not the worst one we've had, but this one, now we're set up for the AGM. I believe that's the next meeting we have, correct?
Yeah, who's up for elections on those
Oh,
AGMs?
we'll straighten that out. I think there's 3 of us, Steve, and we got to.
Well, it's always 3, right?
No, I thought there was only 2.
Oh, 3 and 4. It's 3 and 4. 3, 4, 3, 4.
Hey, Paul, when is the AGM?
What is it? May something? It's on the website.
All right, I'll have to check that.
It's the second Sunday in May, probably, right, Greg? You got a 5/10 or 5?
Well, I thought we put it to the 21st.
Oh, 21st. I'm sorry, that's right. It's correct.
Yeah, May 20th.
Do we have to show up, or it's going to be online?
Online.
It's online.
Okay,
online.
that works. Okay.
Yeah, that should be a quickie. I think, Steve, to answer your question, myself,
VP, senior boys, and secretary.
senior boys, that would be, but Alan, Mike would have to be in, right? Mike and I went in together.
I thought it was Mike and I. No?
Mike and me.
No, Mike and I think is right.
Mike and
Me and Mike would be right.
Well, Mike and Ike.
That's right.
Are you?
Well, I
Are
think
you?
Sherry's got it. I am not positive because we switched positions, Steve. So we'll find Steve. Will say, but everybody so far I've talked to is in for another shot. How about you?
Yeah. Are you running? Are you going to run for president?
I think so. If no one has an objection, I really thought
objection.
done, but we're just in the middle of a couple of things. I thought maybe we could take one last shot because I'll still be.
I don't think anybody has an obstruction. I mean,
No, I don't have any objection. I'm just because I
Well,
thought you had mentioned
somebody-
last time.
I think either Kai or Steve got to do this. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be.
Paul, I have one question.
Yeah, Les.
How does one run for USA board?
Say it again.
How does one become a member of the board in USA?
You get nominated to the thing, and you can nominate yourself. I do believe. I mean, if you want in, you'll be running for a seat that's filled, and if it's so, members. That's the other part of it. You know, we can add open where they're not senior boys or senior girls or one of those jobs. We have 5 positions. That is, it's president that actually are known. 2 VPs, a treasurer, and a secretary. All the others are at large. Merit,
Kai,
and who else? Alan's the VP, senior VP. Mike is junior. Steve is all girls. Brian is the treasurer. Seems to me he might be up.
Mark's the secretary.
Huh?
Mark's the secretary.
Yeah. One of those, there'll be 3 of those slots up for
Re-election.
Nominate yourself, or someone can nominate you. I'll nominate you.
Well, if somebody's not interested in running, I mean, I might have an interest in doing that.
No, that would be very good. In fact,
my background, I'm a CPA, first of all. So from a financial standpoint, I think I could help there. But if somebody's not interested somewhere,
Brian would love to be out of the treasury.
Someone I'd be interested.
Well,
Brian would be the one I think who said, you know, maybe not. He's the treasurer now. The treasurer, because Greg, we have a system in place, but it'd be great to have a CPA treasurer.
Hell yeah.
If you're looking for someone, let me know.
Hell yeah.
But otherwise, I'm happy with you guys.
Yeah, but you got to keep pulling people in because it's this thing doesn't work. After a while, we've done okay. I mean, we've done okay, but after a while, people get in these things and for some reason they think they're English royalty, and they're gonna stay in it forever, and everybody else is just a riffraff. And that's what got us all involved in the first place.
Oh yeah, you still have to keep it on my. Well, Paul, if you're not going to run, I would step in there if you want me to, or at least nominate.
Yeah, let me think that. I was just about a month ago. I told you about a year ago.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to do this.
Yeah,
it's so close, and I still feel good. I'm thinking, no, but I don't want to say, hey, Steve, do you? You know, it's not that thing. I can switch jobs with you, and that'd be fun.
Well, that we could just do that if you want, because I'm on there for another year. I'm just saying, if you're at a point where you want to.
And if you, I mean, really, just to tell you, the president really has no power in this thing. The only thing I really do is run these meetings, and I'm sure somebody could do better. And more organized, you know.
And you certainly haven't gotten any more white hair.
Steve, would you be able to end the meeting when you want?
See, that's why I don't put my picture out there.
Somebody else actually, you might be able to get these meetings ended about a half hour earlier. There's no doubt about that.
I'll let that be my campaign slogan.
They send me emails saying, I got to do something. Thanks, fellas. Thanks for everybody. Thanks for coming.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Good
night.
Adios.
Good night.
All right. Well, let me know, Paul, if you change your mind. Okay.
I'll talk to you outside of this venue.
Yeah, sounds good. Give me a call.
Cool.
Yeah, give me a call whenever, maybe in the next couple of days.
I'd like to discuss that and then talk to the rest of the guys.
Okay.
Good night, y'all.
All right. Sounds fair. All right. Good night, guys.